Hi, I'm Erin with the Parenting Production.
And I'm Andrea with Little Kid Things, and welcome to Chatting Childhood.
Today we are going to be talking about all things sleep. Newborn, toddler, at some point as parents we are dealing with sleep deprivation.
Yes, and especially when there's a time change thrown into the mix, just forget about it. If sleep is out the window, I'm done. I can't handle it.
No. I'm a coffee chugger in the morning, green tea, caffeine, just give me something or mama is mean.
Yeah. Oh boy. If I lose sleep, I always say that I'm not a very good newborn mom. Mm-hmm. I love my kids. I take care of them. I would do anything for them. But I will tell you, if it is 3 o'clock in the morning and I just fed that baby an hour ago and they're crying, you do not want to hear what comes out of my mouth as I'm stomping into the nursery again.
Yeah, I do remember 2 times of the moments where you're like not proud of yourself at all, that I did yell at my 6-month-old because I was like, please just go back to sleep.
Please.
But I've also done the same thing with my 3-year-old. So,
yeah,
you do what you got to do.
Yeah, and it goes in cycles because my kids, my oldest was an awesome sleeper, champion sleeper. My friends, we would visit our friends in Florida and they would say, we never saw Oscar, he slept the whole time, he was a great, great sleeper. But my second, Calvin, is 2.5 now, and he's always been a little bit of a lighter sleeper. And he's going through another phase now where he gets out of bed and he lays on the floor and falls asleep in front of the floor, in front of the door, so he can't even open it.
Does he wake you up, or is he just kind of...
I wake up because I'm like...
Mom ears.
Yeah. I totally hear everything, but he's not crying, so I'm like always laying there in bed like, should I go in? Should I put him back in bed? Should I just let him play? And I hear the closet door opening and closing, and he's walking around singing ABCs.
Oh.
And,
see, my kids are nighttime creepers. They don't have any concept of that they could turn on the television or go get in the kitchen, so they don't roam. Yeah. They just come down the stairs into my bedroom. So I wake up and there's this little person.
And I'm
like
that?
Hi. And I'm always like, what? And it's always, I'm awake.
I'm always really afraid of what I would do if that happened, because mine typically stay in their rooms for the most part, unless it's morning, which I usually hear them before they come in. But if I woke up and there was a face over me,
do. They're just like,
I think I would freak out.
Mom. I'm like, now, a lot of times I will hear them before they come in, and I'm just laying there going, no. Yeah. Because in my house...
Daddy.
My kids are not great sleepers. They never have been. They took forever to sleep through the night. They had great personality. It was great otherwise, but they don't sleep. So my biggest issue is if Emerson wakes up and is screaming, then I'm trying to run up the stairs and tell her to shh before she wakes up her brother, because then he'll show up and he's like, Mom, and I'm like, go back to bed.
Yeah.
Go back to bed.
I can only deal with one of you at a time.
I know. And most of the time I get up because I don't have to go to work the next day, and I like to try to, let my husband be functional, whereas at least, if I'm a zombie, I'm not hurting anybody really,
right.
Other than snapping maybe occasionally at the kids.
Works.
But I just think it's interesting because the kids have no concept that, I'm like, stay in your room, go back to sleep.
Yeah.
And they're like, but I can't. And I'm like,
I'm awake. Well, the sun is awake.
You're sharing it with me, and I don't want you to share it with me.
Yeah. So what I try to do, I always thought I was a morning person because I like to get up early. I like to drink my coffee, watch the news. But then I realized that I'm a morning person alone. I don't like other people talking to me in the morning is like splashing cold water in my face. I'm not ready for conversation. So I try to get up like maybe 5-10 minutes, half an hour before the kids, because then I can have that sort of quiet time in the morning and not freak out because somebody's like, hey, here's my cereal, here's my spoon, here's my milk. What are you going to do? What are we going to do later? When are we going to go to school? Is it time to go to school yet? It's like, stop talking.
Overload.
So that helps me, but it's like, it's so hard to get out of bed in the dark when everyone is quiet, but it's not going to last. So if I can just suck it up and get out of bed, I have a much better day.
Well, now I think everybody's dealing with the fact that with the time change, my kids don't want to go to bed because they don't feel like it's bedtime. And then in the morning, we've actually had the opposite problem where the last 2 mornings, we've been rushing because everybody slept just a smidge longer than normal because we're kind of off schedule just a little bit. So this morning I was like, okay, let's go. We got to get out the door. And they're like, we didn't watch our show. I need a snack. I'm like, no, out the door.
We gotta do it. Yeah, it's a challenge, the time change. I mean, our kids have gone to bed a little bit later, but they still get up at the same time. Like their internal clocks, man, it is amazing how they know exactly what time to get up each day, and they get up the same time every single day. And it's
now how does your family? So we bought this little sun for my son when he was having some sleep issues at first, and it turns blue at night, so the moon comes on.
Oh, that's cool.
And that way, when I'm like, time to brush your teeth, and he's like, oh, I don't want to, you know, I'm like, is your moon on? And if it's on, he's always like, yeah. So then he knows. And in the morning time, we can set it anytime you want to. The sun comes on. And so for us, it was always, we set it for 6:30 because he would get up at 5:45. So we figured 6:30 was better than nothing.
Yeah, definitely.
And it was like, if your sun's not on, you have to stay in your room. You can do whatever you want, but you have to stay in your room. And that didn't really fly. He still sort of wanders downstairs.
Well, we haven't tried anything with our 2-year-old, but our 5-year-old is starting to tell time, and he has a little clock that we've told him that he can get up when it's 6:30, and he knows how to look at 6:30, and he can turn the light on and play in his room. And then at 7 o'clock, he's allowed to come out and then have breakfast and that sort of thing. So I try to get up between 6 and 7 so that I'm already downstairs, but I can hear him playing. And man, I'll tell you what, if I'm awake at 6:30 and I see what time it is, I'll hear that light come on. Is the exact same time every single day.
Wow.
And we feel bad because we're like, is he just sitting in there, like looking at his clock, waiting for it to change?
Well, you know, it's funny because that's the thing we struggled with trying to set a time for our oldest to say you have to stay in your room is because my husband leaves really early every day, and so I know he hears him in the kitchen, and I don't want to be like, you can't come down and not have breakfast with Daddy. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm just laying in bed until my husband comes in to say you're up.
Yeah.
You know, and then I'm like, okay, and I kind of So. But what about you guys? Do you have tips, tricks? What issues do you guys have when it comes to sleep?
How do you survive when you're sleep deprived? We want to know.
We'll see you next time on Chatting Childhood.
Bye-bye.